You're in the sweet spot, baby. You're in the sweet spot, girl. You're in the sweet spot, darling. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world. You're in the sweet spot, baby. You're in the sweet spot, girl. You're in the sweet spot, darling. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world. Baby, you're in the sweet spot, girl. You're in the sweet spot, darling. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world. It's a magical kingdom in a mixed up world.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot. My name is Lynn, your host, and Ken is my co-host. Ken, how's it going?
Well, Lynn, it is going. I'm here in my physically distanced bubble.
Oh, yeah?
And I'm keeping my distance, and I'm just wiping everything down here with disinfectant. So yeah.
Very good.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing good. No complaints.
Okay,
well, I have complaints, but we don't have time for that. This is episode 298.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot of shows, Lynn.
298. Yeah.
It's hard for me to believe.
It really is. This show, Ken and I are both former Disneyland Custodial cast members, and we talk about Disneyland. And if you're new to the show, it's your first time listening, we have many Disney legends and Imagineers and authors and cast members and many other people that are associated with Disneyland in some way or another, podcasters, YouTubers. So go back and listen to our archives. And we are also authors of a book series called Cleaning the Kingdom. And we have 2 books out. We have one that came out in 2015 and one that came out in 2019. And you can get those on our website, thesweetspot.com, or you can go to Amazon. Or you can go to get the Kindle version on wherever you get Kindle books, and the audio version for the first book. So they make great Christmas presents for your Disney friends or family. Also, I wanted to mention, while we're advertising for that, we have a new t-shirt design that, it's not just t-shirts. If you go to TeePublic and you look up the Sweet Spot, you'll find it there, or you can go to our website, and Russell had put it on there also.
It's really great. It's a really great design.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, Luke had one. He wore it to school yesterday. So yeah,
right.
So it's really cool. It's a Galaxy's Edge trash can with our name. It just really looks cool. So. Check that out. And like I was saying, at TeePublic, they have other items you could buy. Like, scroll down, not just t-shirts. Like, you could get stickers and mugs, I think. They have masks. You can get that on there. So anyways, check that out. Also wanted to mention that we have a Patreon, and we do a bonus episode once a month for people that contribute $5 or more. And the money goes to help support and pay for our expenses, because things keep going up as we have 298 shows. The more shows you get, it just takes up more, and things and just everything seems to be going up to run the show, and we really need the money to help keep it running. And we appreciate everyone that's been supporting us so far. And we have 2 new supporters I wanted to mention. We have one which is Donna Schonkweiler. I probably totally butchered your last name. I'm so sorry, Donna, but you know who you are, and thank you so much. We appreciate your support. Also, we have a longtime listener, Christine Spurlock, and thank you so much, Christine, for contributing. I know that you had been...
Thank you, Christine. Thank you very much.
I know that you had been already contributing in a different way, and I mentioned that if you don't want to go through Patreon, You can on the website, sweetspot.com, there's a PayPal link, and you just send $5 that way, and I will email you the episode, the MP3, through email if you didn't want to do it through Patreon that way. So thank you both very much. I appreciate it. And if you want to do that, join in on our Patreon and help us out. That'd be great, and we'd appreciate it. And I think you'll enjoy the bonus episodes that we do. They're usually about 20, 30 minutes long, and we have a lot of fun recording them. All right. Woo, that was a lot of stuff. Wanted to introduce...
let's who do we have on the show?
Ken, we are going to have on a former marketing director for Disneyland, and his name is Bill Long. And he was there during the 70s, Ken.
This is going to be good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're really excited to talk to Bill, and I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation also. So before we do that, we're going to have the current events. Now we're going to have the current events. Ken, what do you have for us?
Well, Lynn, Disneyland is still closed. Well, actually, as we said last time, Buena Vista Street has reopened. So that's part of the big news since we last recorded. Yeah, the Orange County Register had a couple of stories about that. One of them that came out on the 19th of November, 2020, for those of you who are listening way into the future. It's headlined, "Go Inside Disney California Adventure on the first day of shopping and dining after 8-month closure." So, they went in and took a bunch of pictures and talked about how it was and stuff like that. And as it says here, and of course it's a Brady McDonald story, it says Disney California Adventure reopened as an extension of downtown Disney at 9:45 a.m. on Thursday, November 19th for shopping and dining along Buena Vista Street and throughout Grizzly Peak Airfield and Hollywoodland for the first time since the theme park closed in mid-March. Wow. Across the Esplanade, Disneyland remains closed as large California theme parks are unlikely to return to full operation until early 2021 or next summer under the COVID-19 health and safety reopening guidelines issued by the state. Yes. Die-hard Disney fans showed up early to be among the first visitors to step foot inside Disney California Adventure in more than 8 months. The mask-wearing faithful gathered amid rain puddles and a morning chill more than 3 hours before DCA was set to open. By 6:45 a.m., more than 50 people had lined up in a socially distanced queue at the Harbor Boulevard entrance to the Disneyland Resort. People were eager to get back in. Crowds were light inside DCA on opening day, particularly by Disneyland standards. Around 11 a.m., there were no lines for corn dogs at Award Wieners, Starbucks coffee at Fiddler, Pfeiffer, and Practical, or burgers at Smoke Jumpers Grill. About half of the tables spread throughout Hollywoodland, Grizzly Peak Airfield, and around the Carthay Circle fountain were filled with diners required to remain stationary while they ate and drank. Sipping and strolling was prohibited. So I guess if you were to get up and it's like no, you got to leave your food there, or you got to put your food away. You can't walk and carry your food at the same time.
Wow.
Halt. Out with you. The mobile wait list for Carthay Circle restaurants' 24 outdoor dining tables were all booked within 30 minutes for the lunch session between 11:30 a.m. and 2 p.m. Disneyland Resort President Ken Potrock said Disney California Adventure has significantly limited capacity on Buena Vista Street to less than what the state guidelines permit. This is symbolic to show that we can do things right, Potrock said. No admission will be charged to enter DCA as the theme park's shops and restaurants reopen as an extension of downtown Disney. Parking in the Simba lot for downtown Disney and Buena Vista Street will be $10 per car. So the shops and restaurants are starting to open, but not the attractions, Lynn.
Yeah, I watched a few, YouTubers that I watch, and watched some of their videos, and it was very, for some of these people, it was very emotional, that were annual pass holders that went, at least once a week or more, that were able to finally walk on into a theme park again, was really special. And I could imagine, it would be. But it was, it was saying here it wasn't crowded, and I had just read recently that it got to capacity. It was full, so they weren't letting any more people in later in the early evening. So eventually it did, it did get there. But I think it's going to be really popular. I think it's actually going to bring people from farther distances, not just Orange County locals. I've already heard buzz of people that live in as far as where I live, to go spend their weekend and go shopping and
way out in the boonies,
right?
There.
6 hours away driving, but so not too bad.
Well, 6 hours.
Yeah,
Southern California traffic, that could be Riverside.
Exactly. So I mean, this is exciting. I think it's a good start. I think that there have been some people saying maybe they should do it at Disneyland. On the Disneyland side, I
think that's the next step.
Do you think this is kind of a test to?
Yeah. Main Street, you can do Main Street, and
I think you can do all the way up to the castle and have photo opportunities at the castle and the Walt statue and partner statue, and then you have Plaza Inn restaurant.
If they eventually reopened all the shops and restaurants, and if they had maybe enough attendance, I know they have to limit it.
Yeah.
But knowing Disney, they might say, you know what, we're gonna we're gonna keep it this way. We don't have to spend money on new rides.
People like just coming here to shop. Yeah.
We'll just shopping and dining. We'll just be malls that where people are nostalgic about. Hey, remember there used to be a ride that was open over there? Oh yeah, I remember that.
I think they, I said before, they should just slowly start opening stuff. I mean, they could do the Mickey's Philharmonic or what it was over there. It's like theater. They could just slowly start kind of adding things, and next thing you know, it costs to get in. So
yeah,
we'll see. We'll see where this leads. But I do think that, like the president was saying there, that he wants to show the California people in charge there that they that Disney does do it right, and they do it as safely as they can, because I think that if you're not a Disney fan, you kind of just put Disneyland in with Six Flags and Universal and all the others. You just kind of group them together, right. when I think Disney has always been set apart from, not to say that any of those are bad, but they've just been in a different level, especially when it comes to safety. So I think that,
cleanliness, definitely. So,
right.
I know a couple of books about that, but
yeah.
Speaking of shameless plugs, you can go to our website, thesweepspot.com, to get these stories and click through and read them in their entirety. As always, because Russell Flores puts them up. Russell, who is, congratulations on your retirement, Russell.
Yes.
Yeah. You may think he's too young to retire, but he's not. So there. But he hasn't retired from helping us. He's retired from, his other job.
Right.
Now, the Register had run a story the day before called, it was headlined, Disney California Adventure, Everything You Need to Know About Shopping and Dining. And I have to just say, their definition of need is different than mine. But it's very detailed about the shopping and dining options that are available at they call it Buena Vista Street, but it's extended beyond that. But don't tell anybody, because then they might have to shut down. As it says in the story here, Disney cast members used a tape measure to lay out 6-foot social distancing markers on the ground leading to a churro stand in Hollywoodland. I think we ought to tell them that popcorn spreads the virus, so no more popcorn. But maintenance and custodial cast members waited in line on socially distanced markers as Willie's Churros stand employees were trained in new COVID-19 protocols in Grizzly Peak Airfield. So I guess they were kind of doing run-throughs with cast members. What they do now is you stand back and they have a churro launcher. It shoots the churros at you like a spear, and then you have to catch them
in your mouth.
No, if you want,
that would be cool.
That's called pass holder style. If you catch them in your mouth, but yeah, it's a very detailed story, and they say social distancing floor markings will be found at every place a line could form: shop entrances, cash registers, mobile order food pickup windows, mobile waitlist return areas, and outdoor vending carts. Plexiglass barriers have been added at cash registers. All employees will wear masks, and many will also wear face shields. That's cool. I would have loved to wear a face shield when I was working there.
Yeah.
I would have felt like a warrior. Hand washing stations and hand sanitizer dispensers will be available throughout Buena Vista Street, Hollywoodland, and Grizzly Peak Airfield. Signs reminding visitors to maintain physical distancing with dot planters. Restrooms will be open on Buena Vista Street and in Grizzly Peak Airfield and Hollywoodland.
I have a story for that.
Okay.
You were mentioning you wish you would have worn a shield when you were there. I just thought of something. Remember when we had those? There was one year we had many fires. Brush fires that happened in the area. I think this one was in the Anaheim Hills area, and it was really it was really affecting a lot of people, especially cast members like. The way the airflow works in the area, it takes it right over Disneyland. Oh, it was really bad this one day, and it was really affecting my sinuses and everything. And I had a few cast members because I was the lead in New Orleans, and they asked if they could wear a face mask, and so I asked one of our managers, and they said absolutely not. That's bad show. So it's funny that this comes back around again, where now,
safety is ahead of show.
Okay? Right. But they said that it would be bad show if we had masks on because it would make it.
It is pretty funny though.
To the guests that why are they here if we anyway, send a bad message is what I'm trying to say. So
we don't want the guests having clear lungs.
Yeah, so. That was a while. That was a long time ago. So it's kind of come back around in this direction now. But anyways. Right.
Well, of course, LaughingPlace.com covered this story as well, and as they say in their coverage, Orange County, California, has recently re-entered the purple tier. Now, you know what the purple tier means? It means we all have to sing Prince songs. No,
No.
it drops retail stores to 25% capacity.
What was it before
and closes indoor, maybe 50%.
Oh.
It closes indoor dining. Capacity is now more limited, leading to longer queues. There are queues set up to get into the Buena Vista Street expansion of the downtown Disney district, and once those are full, guests are asked to join a mobile wait list. So if you don't have a phone, you need a carrier pigeon, okay? If you don't have a smartphone. Well, here's something that's kind of interesting, and I wonder if it's changed because this story came out on November 9th from the Register, that Disneyland to reopen Disney Vacation Club villas in time for winter holidays. The Disney Vacation Club villas at Disney's Grand California Hotel and Spa will reopen on December 6th, according to a letter sent to DVC members. I'm sure you got yours, Lynn, right?
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I'm not.
What? You didn't get it?
No.
You should call up and complain and say, look, I pay a lot of money to be in the DV. I'm down with DVC.
I wish I was.
Yeah, there you go. Only the DVC villas will reopen during the initial stage of the phased reopening. The rest of Disney's Grand Californian, as well as the Disneyland Hotel and Paradise Pier Hotel, will remain closed indefinitely. Indefinitely. Okay, anyway.
I don't think that'll be very popular because you would, especially now since they're in the purple, because you can't really use that hotel to its full potential because
I wonder if it's I wonder if they're allowed to still do it if we're back in purple.
yeah, well,
I mean,
yeah, because you couldn't eat in the two restaurants. Well, there's three, but the two restaurants that I was thinking of, Napa Rose and the Storytellers, because there's not any outdoor dining there. I guess they could create outdoor dining, but
yeah. Well, and, I mean, it's kind of like, why would you stay there if the parks aren't really open?
I guess just to go to downtown Disney. And
I mean, maybe if you're really, really, really such a big fan of the hotel, maybe, but I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I like I said, I didn't get my letter. No, sorry.
Yeah.
So Disneyland announces additional furloughs as state guidelines leave theme parks in limbo. And this was from November 9th. So it's a little bit ago. But it says Disneyland plans to furlough additional employees in the wake of COVID-19 reopening guidelines from Governor Gavin Newsom's administration that have left California theme parks in limbo for the foreseeable future. Disneyland President Ken Potrock announced the furloughs of executive, salaried, and hourly workers on Monday, November 9th, in a letter to cast members. So, Disney furloughed non-essential employees at its U.S. theme parks in April. Disney laid off 28,000 employees in September at Disneyland and Walt Disney World. An exact count of the layoffs at Disneyland Resort is not yet available, but an early estimate puts the number at approximately 10,000 employees. Yeah. The LA Times covered that, but they just kind of covered it with a video. So I was kind of confused when I clicked through it because I'm like, where's the text of the story? And I thought the video was just one of their banner ads, Anyway, but I'll have a link to that stuff in case you're interested. LaughingPlace.com also covered that story, so you can read it at Laughing Place if you'd like. We have all those links. Now, here's some good news, and this comes from the official Disney Parks blog.
All right.
A special surprise to commemorate Mickey's birthday at Disneyland Resort. And this was to commemorate Mickey Mouse's birthday. We are excited to reveal a special surprise at the Disneyland Resort. Following a refurbishment, the iconic Partners statue in front of Sleeping Beauty Castle in Disneyland Park has been restored to its original grandeur, but you can't see it. Not live anyway. Over 4 days, an artisan utilized a process using crushed walnut shells to gently strip the figure down to the bare bronze. After cleaning, various chemicals were applied and heated with a blowtorch to create a reaction and fuse with the bronze. The figure was coated in a polymer to protect the patina, then coated with a very thin layer of wax. So, yeah.
Yeah, the pictures I've seen, it looks really good.
They're protecting the patina. Now, I had some patina flakes the other day. Never mind. You have to look that word up, people. Yeah, some wax on Walt there. Wax on, wax off. And the Laughing Place also covered that story. Disneyland reveals restored partner status to celebrate Mickey's 92nd birthday. It's Minnie Mouse's birthday too, but I guess, she doesn't want, it's not proper to talk about a woman's age. Now here's something that, they actually had a couple of stories that were about, they're not, I wouldn't call them like breaking news stories, but they're more about information. Like It says Imagineering and Lucasfilm dreamed up 2 different Star Wars lands for Disneyland and Walt Disney World. Okay, this is an Orange County Register story, and you're thinking, oh, so they're going to talk about some of the other concepts that they have, like, so, okay, so we're going to hear about, like, how they were going to have 2 different lands, and they weren't going to be the same and everything. Well, here's the story. Imagineering portfolio executives Scott Trowbridge and Robin Reardon discussed the evolution of the 2 Star Wars lands during a case study webcast presented by the Themed Entertainment Association. And it was called Disneyland Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Excuse me. Let me try that again. Disneyland Star Wars Galaxy's Edge themed land and Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run flight simulator ride each received the Themed Entertainment Association THEA Awards for outstanding achievement. Now, this was in conjunction, I'm sure, with the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions convention, which takes place this time every year. Of course, this year it's a virtual convention. But as the story says, the Imagineers said the plan from the very beginning was to build 2 Star Wars lands, one at Disneyland and one at Disney Hollywood Studios. The goal was to create a place where Disney theme park visitors could experience their own Star Wars story rather than recreate hero Luke Skywalker's story on Tatooine or heroine Rey's story on Jakku. So, yeah, we know that. Okay, so, okay, let's hear about it. Well, here we go. Walt Disney Imagineering officials said they like to focus on built experiences rather than unrealized ideas and declined to expand upon the statements made by Trowbridge and Reardon. So there's a story for you. This whole story was to say, yeah, they considered doing 2 different lands, but they did the same land at both parks because it saves money and yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there were other ideas, but we're not going to tell you about them. Gee, thank you for that story.
Or they were so great, it would have been awesome. Too bad we don't have that.
You should have been there, folks. Well, what a story. Okay. And there's also another story called 4 Ways Technology Powers the Disneyland Metaverse.
Metaverse.
Yeah, watch out for Metaverse. I mean, sometimes you get arrested if you mess around with Metaverse too much. Now, let's see. What is the Disney theme park Metaverse? It all starts with having a connected park, Disney Chief Technology Officer Tilak Mendati said. A park where guests can truly interact with their physical surroundings using connected devices, wearables, phones, and other interactive digital access points. Then we seamlessly bring together the physical and the digital elements in the experience to create what I call converged experiences. Got all that? Mandati laid out his vision for a Disney theme park metaverse filled with converged experiences in a webcast presentation during the International Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions Expo Virtual Education Conference. Let's see now. They point out, okay, what the four things they're talking about are the mobile apps, okay? We know about those. The second is Internet of Things. The Internet of Things includes any physical thing embedded with a sensor, software, or other technology that exchanges data via the Internet with other devices and computer systems. What does the Internet of Things have to do with Disney theme parks? Well, Disney theme parks are already filled with a ton of Internet of Things technology hidden behind the scenes. Disneyland's Rise of the Resistance has an astonishing 15,000 sensors that transmit data back to attraction operators from ride vehicles and track routes when it's operating. The third thing is augmented reality. Okay, augmented reality adds interactive elements to a live view of the real world using a smartphone. So if you're a holdout and you don't have a smartphone, you're just out of luck. Number 4, artificial intelligence. Disney is developing artificial intelligence-driven virtual characters that can have personalized interactions with theme park visitors, according to Mandati. Walt Disney Imagineering created an animatronic bird that uses artificial intelligence and computer vision that resides in the queue of the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout attraction at DCA. The Vailu bird interacts endlessly with its environment and curious visitors. Okay, so...
Wow.
Well, someday, hopefully, people can go back to Disneyland. But Walt Disney World is open, and Disney's Aulani in Hawaii, right? And hopefully the Disney cruise will be going again someday. So you need to plan your next Disney getaway vacation. You probably really, really need to plan a vacation, and the best time to plan is now. So go to concierge.com. That's CONCIEARS.com, because they are our magical vacation travel partners. They will do the heavy lifting. They're keeping tabs on what's happening. They can get you reservations. They will plan your next Disney getaway vacation. It's a no-brainer, because really, it doesn't add any cost to you, and they know their stuff. So please use concierge.com as a resource. Book with them and tell them the Sweep Spot sent you, and you'll get a special gift. So go to concierge.com to help plan your next Disney getaway vacation.
Thanks a lot, Ken.
Earthman has long dreamed of exploring the mysteries of our galaxy and the infinite wonders of the universe beyond. You will experience these wonders on your own space journey when Disneyland's spectacular super thrill attraction, Space Mountain, opens in June 1977.
My first question is, I wanted to ask you, did you grow up going to Disneyland, or did you go to Disneyland prior to working there? And second part of the question was, how did you start working at Disneyland? And about when this was, too.
Okay. I was with the Quaker Oats Company in Chicago, and I was the National Sales Promotion Manager. And under my operations, I had Disneyland as my account because we had the Aunt Jemima Kitchen that was at Disneyland, and we had Kennelland, which was the Kennelation dog food, and we had the Bury Market House, which was on Main Street, and that was for Bury Cookies. Well, Bury Cookies ended their contract before I got there, and then with Aunt Jemima Kitchen, the Aunt Jemima Kitchen contract ran out, so I did the exit of that contract, and then the Kennelation contract ran out, and so I did the exit of that, and that's how I got to know the people at Disneyland. And that was in 1968 and 1969. And in 1970, when we were finalizing everything on the signage of removing the signage from Disneyland, they asked me if I'd be interested in joining the Walt Disney Company as their manager of promotions for Disneyland and Walt Disney World, because they didn't have a manager of promotions. They had a director of marketing that had promotions under him, but they wanted to get somebody that had more experience in the retail promotions. So on January 1st, 1970, I joined the Walt Disney Company as manager of promotions for Disneyland and Walt Disney World.
Wow.
I was headquartered at Studio. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, I was just saying, wow. Yeah, it sounds great. I was just saying, wow, like
okay.
that's pretty impressive.
And,
I mean, you had both coasts.
Right, and I was interviewed by Cod Walker, the president of Walt Disney Company, and Vince Jeffords, who was the vice president of merchandising and promotions for the company, Jack Lindquist, who was vice president of marketing for both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. And after my interview process went through, I was hired, and I started working on the opening promotions for Walt Disney World. I was headquartered at the studio. I lived in Tustin, California, and I spent a lot of time down in Florida. And my responsibility was to develop a relationship from a marketing standpoint, with all of what we called then the lessees. And the lessees was turned into companies such as Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola and Kodak Kodak cameras and those companies. And my job was to start developing the promotions for the opening of Walt Disney World, as I said before. And many of them wanted to do television commercials. So we had the first television commercial that we did was with United States Steel, because they built the modular rooms at the Contemporary Resort Hotel in Walt Disney World, and they wanted to produce a television commercial. So we went down there before the park opened, and we ran a modular room which they built down on the floor on this ground, and then they moved it up on a crane, and we produced a commercial showing how the United States Steel Company worked in modular construction of building a Contemporary Resort Hotel. And then we produced a television commercial with Hertz Rent-A-Car. We filmed a lot of it out here in California because we used the Seven Dwarfs on that commercial, and then we filmed the balance of it at Walt Disney World. And that commercial was done a week before we opened up Walt Disney World, and it went on Monday Night Football, the Monday night before the park opened, the Walt Disney World theme park opened. That was the first opening. It was the theme park, the Magic Kingdom, and we were able to get it on Monday Night Football, the first Monday night prior to the opening of Walt Disney World. And of course, Disney didn't pay anything for that commercial. It was all Hertz. And in the commercial, it was filmed at the Walt Disney World Resort, and we just had wonderful experiences of all of the attractions and so on and so forth. So, what's your next question?
Wow, that's great. Sounds like you had a lot of experience with, just with the opening of Walt Disney World, which is impressive. But, and you got a chance to work beside Jack Lindquist, you were saying?
Oh, I worked with Jack Lindquist. I worked with Vince Jeffords. For example, Sandy Quinn in Walt Disney World was the director of marketing, and we had Eastern Airlines that wanted to do a commercial. Well, they always wanted to use the characters, but we did not allow any of our participants, and that's what a lessee now is called, a participant. We never let them utilize the characters unless they did a merchandising program and we licensed them, but most of them didn't do that. So we wanted Eastern Airlines to film the attractions, and also their Eastern Airlines playing what markets they will leave out of and how long it took to fly to Orlando, and the experience that we would have before you land at at Orlando Airport, and that you could experience on-board experience of Walt Disney World, and the flight attendants would pass out different kinds of coloring books on Walt Disney World for the kids, and they served Disney ice cream from some of the ice cream stores at Walt Disney World.
So
next question?
Yeah, so in the 70s, especially in the early 70s, a lot of the attention was put on opening of Walt Disney World. Did you have anything to do with some of the stuff that happened at Disneyland, like the Main Street Electrical Parade or Bear Country opening up?
Yes. Once we got the opening of Walt Disney World done in 1971, and that was in October, I kept on staying down there for that year, and then they moved me back and they promoted me to director of marketing at Disneyland. And so I had the responsibility of the marketing, which included advertising, promotions, public relations, group sales, and we were on a campaign to develop a whole 10-year celebration, because we had a lot of new attractions that were opening up. And two of them in 1 year was the opening of Space Mountain.
Oh yeah.
And what we did for the opening of Space Mountain was we had a astronaut. His name was Gordon Cooper, one of the 7 Mercury astronauts, and he was a member of WED, which is named after Walter Elias Disney, and that's where they designed the attractions. And we were getting ready to build World Showcase. So I went up with Jim Garber, who was my publicity manager at the time, and we went up and we met with Gordon Cooper, and we said to Gordon, we would like to have the original Mercury astronauts come to Disneyland for the opening of Space Mountain. Now, here's what we'll do. We'll provide a complete 4-day vacation for the Mercury astronauts, the 7 of them. There was really only 6 left. We brought the wife of Betty Grissom because so she came. We will have the astronauts in. The only thing that we're going to ask them to do is at the press conference on the Friday before that we're going to open up the attractions, have them get on the ride and go up and then be on the ride and get off the ride and sit in the front of the stage where the press would be there and they could answer questions. Well, we did that, and we got almost every single television station covered. The affiliates, ABC, CBS, NBC, most of all the major newspapers were there, and we got national and worldwide publicity having the astronauts there. And it was just fantastic. And then we gave them a weekend celebration. And one of the stories that I had there was I had the privilege of spending a lot of time with Senator John Glenn. And John Glenn had been to Disneyland one time before, and he had been there with Robert Kennedy. And that was the day that Robert Kennedy was shot. He came to Disneyland. He rode on the Matterhorn. John Glenn and Bob Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, rode on the Matterhorn that day, and then they went up to the Biltmore Hotel that night, and that's when Senator Robert Kennedy was shot.
Oh.
So I was with the Senator Glenn that day when we opened up Space Mountain, and he told me the story about that was the last day that he was there and how sad he was and so on and so forth. And he said, I never saw a picture that I took with Bob Kennedy. Well, while I was having lunch with the astronauts and I was sitting next to John Glenn, I called my photo department at Disneyland over on Bank Street where we had the photo shops there, and we found a picture of Bob Kennedy and Senator Glenn, and so I got the picture taken care of, and I gave it to John Glenn, and he was just so happy, and he sent me a beautiful letter, and I still have that letter.
Oh.
And that was wonderful, and so we kicked it off, and then that same weekend we opened up the weekend after we opened up the Electrical Light Parade. And the reason why we came out with the Electrical Light Parade is that our business after 5 o'clock was not as good as we wanted it to be. So we needed something we used to have named talent on the Tomorrowland stage and the Coca-Cola Pavilion would bring in the Four Tops or the Spinners, the Temptations, or Gladys Knight and the Pips. But that would only build the attendance for those particular venues in the park. We needed something that was going to bring people to come to the park, see the parade at nighttime, but be there and go on all the attractions and see the parade and the fireworks. So we had the Electrical Light Parade, and that turned Disneyland's attendance around, and it went up, and it was the best time that we had it during the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, it's probably one of my favorite Disneyland parades ever, I would say.
Yeah, the Electrical Light Parade was really, really good, and the music and the music was done, and Bob Yanni and his team, who were the heads of the entertainment, developed that whole concept of the Electrical Light Parade, and it was an original. And to this day, I'll never forget the opening night. What a thrill it was to watch Bob and see the lights come down Main Street, and it was really funny too, because prior to that, we had to bring the Electrical Light Parade from the place in Maple, which is named after Mary Poppins, and that's where we built the Electrical Light Parade. And we had to bring it down. A lot of the attractions in the Electrical Parade, bring it down 405. And I'll tell you what happened one time. We had, remember the big dragon that we had on the Electrical Light Parade?
Yeah, Pete's Dragon.
Yeah, Pete's Dragon. We had the Pete's Dragon there, and we deliberately had it go underneath the freeway. And then when it got to the bridge, we deliberately put air in the tires so that more air in the tires so that it wouldn't fit underneath the bridge. And this is during the 5 o'clock traffic. And we halted the traffic. And what that did is they brought all the television stations out to cover that the traffic was so bad. It was because the Electrical Light Parade was going underneath, and they needed to do. We got it open, and that was the publicity that we got. The Electrical Light Parade was coming to Disneyland. It was going to open up that next weekend, and we had a great attendance that weekend.
That's great.
Yes.
Wow.
Is it true that you wouldn't do a lot? You wouldn't go and buy a lot of. You wouldn't buy television ads for the park, but you did these other things. Well, it was these other ways of getting publicity, correct?
That is correct. For example, our president at the time, his card walker, didn't believe in spending a lot of money on advertising. We had at both Walt Disney World when it first opened and Disneyland for many, many years. What we did is we had a great publicity department, and that department would go out and meet with radio stations and television stations and newspapers in the different markets that were important to Disneyland and, of course, to Walt Disney World. And so we depended on most of the newspapers. And then we put together we called target market promotions. And target market promotions, we'd go into a city like Seattle San Francisco or Sacramento, where our attendance came from, in Northern California, and we'd work with the television stations there, the newspapers, and we'd put together a whole promotion where we would give trips away, not spending one nickel on advertising, but we gave the television stations and the newspapers and radio stations free tickets. We brought their stations down so they did remotes live from Disneyland and Walt Disney World, and that created a lot of great publicity and promotion for us, and we did that by just giving tickets away. We only had the Disneyland Hotel, and so we worked with the local other hotels like Stovall's Hotels and the Hilton Hotels and the Marriott Hotel here, and then with the Walt Disney World we had a lot of hotels, and we would put people up, and it was just tickets and hotel rooms that we gave away, and the airlines worked with us and gave us airline tickets, and we, of course, put them in all of our television commercials. And that's how we started target market promotions in Disneyland without spending any money on advertising.
That's very smart. So
very, very clever.
Yeah.
That's very clever.
Yeah.
Very clever.
We had a lot of radio stations. We'd bring down a radio station, and they'd bring down, for example, for the ABC affiliate up in the KGO up in San Francisco. We worked a program with AirCal, which was a local airline based in Orange County, but they had a lot of different markets that served Disneyland. So we put a big promotion together where we put together a plane full of winners from KGO radio station, and they came down and they were greeted at Disneyland by the Seven Dwarfs, and the Seven Dwarfs escorted the winners on all the attractions, and the TV stations and the radio station TV would cover them with film, and the radio stations would interview some of the people that were on it and who they were next to, some of the characters they were with, and we got some great promotions, and we expanded that into Utah, into Arizona, and to the West Coast, where most of Disneyland's market for domestic comes from.
Did you have anything to do with the with helping open the Bear Country in Disneyland?
Yes, we opened up Bear Country at Disneyland, and that was very successful. And then we had the ride that opened up there, and that was very successful. We did promotions with radio stations and television stations, and we would have a press conference the night before we would open it, and we'd invite all the press and television stations from the different markets to come down, and would feed the press and the media and a lot of the VIPs that would come down. Would bring the governor or the mayors from different cities down to, and then they would go on television stations down live, all live shots at Disneyland. They would go back to their market, such as Sacramento and Fresno and so on and so forth.
Did you have a chance to work with or meet any celebrities along your way working there?
Oh, sure. We did a big television special with Sandy Duncan, and I had the opportunity to meet Sandy Duncan, and Art Linkletter was in the original Disneyland television show that they did when they opened it up, and I met him, and he came in and did some broadcasting with us and television, and it was really, really very successful. And we had Olga Corbett and Kathy Rigby, who were great gymnasts that competed against each other. Kathy was on the United States team, and Olga Corbett was on the Russian team. And we did a major promotion on ABC Wild World of Sports. You guys are probably too young to remember that, but that ran every Saturday night at 5 o'clock, and it was ABC Wild World of Sports, and we had the two of them riding the Matterhorn together, and it was about 2 weeks after they competed against each other in the Olympics. So we did a lot of things like that. I was one of the directors, and we had 6 directors. One was director of foods, one was director of merchandise, I was director of marketing. We had the maintenance director and security director and director of operations, and each one of us would have a night during the summertime that would be in charge of the park to oversee any issues from an administration standpoint, and we didn't interfere with the operations, but if there was a big issue, some of us had to be the spokesperson, so we were the spokesperson. And one day that I had we used to book entertainment at nighttime, and we had Louis Belson, and we had many of the, we had almost so many. So I'm trying to think of the name of the drummer that I had. Buddy Rich.
Buddy Rich, yeah.
Buddy Rich. You're right. Buddy Rich came in, but in the afternoon when he was going to open up that night, he was there for the week. I got a call from the finance department, and they said, we're not going to be able to pay Buddy Rich tonight, and you're going to have to go tell him. And I said, why? Well, we're garnishing his pay because he owes the government some money. So I said, oh, thanks a lot. So so before he went on, and I'm a drummer too, so before he went on, I went up and I said, Buddy, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Bill Long, Director of Marketing at Disneyland, and you normally get a check after your show. However, the government, he says, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that was going to happen. And I said, well, I'm sorry that I had to tell you. And he says, well, why don't you sit down and watch the show? I said, yeah, thank you. I'm going to do that. And he said, I told him I'm a drummer. He said, oh, great. So after the show, he gave me his drumsticks, and he signed them on the end, on the top where it's a little thick, and I still have those drumsticks today.
Oh wow, that's great. I'm a drummer also, so that's awesome to hear.
Yes. Now, back in 1976, that was the time we had America on Parade, and that was the time that the Emperor of Japan came to the United States for the first time. And the Emperor Hirohito was the emperor that bombed, that gave the okay to bomb Hawaii, okay? And he was, when the Japanese bombed Hawaii, and he was the head of all of Japan. So he wanted to come with his wife to Disneyland. So a lot of the executives that were higher up on my level were not in town. They were in Walt Disney World, but I was the highest in seniority. So my job was to greet Hirohito when he came to Disneyland and take him, he and his wife, to have VIP seats at America on Parade, and then take him for a tour around the park. Now, prior to him coming, the Japanese came for one whole year and measured every single inch of Disneyland, not knowing where he was going to go, but they had to know where he was at all times and what it was, so they scaled it down, and we said we had to have operations help them. So when he came on that day, I greeted him, and we took him to the we reversed America on Parade, and we had to come out of down Main Street from the train station instead of the other way coming from Small World. And so we had the VIPs and the television cameras. We probably had 300 television stations there, and they had shut down Japan that afternoon when he was there. I forget what the time difference was, so that the people could see Emperor Hirohito, his first public appearance in the United States. We did him the day before, but his first public appearance was at Disneyland. And we had two of my secretaries in my department had their kids there, and Hirohito took one of the kids and put him on his lap. Well, the television stations grabbed that because Hirohito was not supposed to touch any other human being. He never did that, but he did that first time ever, and we got worldwide publicity on that, and that was just a great event. So publicity played a real important role us getting experiences and coverage and awareness on Disneyland. That was just one of the things that we did. And then we had, I don't know if you remember it, the ping pong. They had the Chinese ping pong players. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah.
They would travel in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had them come and do it. Yeah, we had them come and do and play a ping pong game out in the front of the castle at Disneyland. And then they came down, they played in the front gate too, and we got worldwide publicity on that as well.
There was quite a bit of different things that you did promotion wise. Did they? And I don't real familiar with all the dates, but didn't they have like a Herbie Day to promote the Herbie the Love Bug, or was that in a?
Oh yes. First of all, I'll give you two major promotions that we did.
Okay.
Well, we had Herbie Day, and we had people would dress their cars up, all Volkswagens, and would come to Disneyland, and we gave prizes out, and that was very successful. Mm-hmm. But then we did in 1972. We ran Winnie the Pooh for president. Oh, yeah. Now, Sears and Roebuck at that time was carried all of the Pooh character merchandise in their stores, and they were a major retailer back then. There was no other big major retailers except for J.C. Penney's, but Sears was the big one. And so they had a whole line of children's clothes. So I had the opportunity to go back to Sears and Roebuck in the tower with Bob Yanni, and we put together a promotion where every Sears store in the country would run Winnie the Pooh for president, and kids could win a trip to either Walt Disney World or to Disneyland to be the official Pooh delegate to Pooh's convention to run for president at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World. We had one on the West Coast and the East Coast, and we did a whistle stop on the West Coast from Sacramento, where the kids would win the trips, and they would be the Pooh delegates, and we brought them down on a train and a whistle stop promotion, and it was just fabulous. Did the same thing, but with airplanes from to Walt Disney World. And then we put on a big show, and we sold the park out here, and we sold it out down at Walt Disney World, and Pooh had 10,000 write-in votes that year for president.
That's great.
Yeah. So we did a lot of character merchandising days. We had Mexican days, and we had Japanese days, and we'd go to the different countries and get all of the different entertainers and bring them over, and we did cultural experiences of entertainment to show that Disneyland was just not just regular entertainers, but we would have different cultures from different countries, and it was just fabulous.
That's great.
I think really a lot of these things are what helped create, the impression that people have of Disneyland and Walt Disney World. It kind of set them apart as special places because of these techniques in marketing. I really think that is part of the mystique of these places. So I think what you did has a lasting effect.
Well, one of the things that we came up with, it could only happen at Disneyland. That was the theme that we used, because we did a lot of those major promotions, and we put the happiest place on earth that can only happen at Disneyland. So it was really, really good. Well, I'll tell you another big promotion that we had. It was just really good. Unfortunately, it rained. But we opened up the Rivers of America, and Pearl Bailey, who was a great singer, and her husband was a drummer, and we had Pearl Bailey come on Thanksgiving weekend and sing on the Rivers of America on the boat. Mm-hmm. However, unfortunately, it rained, and we had to cancel that. That was really sad. But we flew back to New York, and she did the commercial, and she wouldn't read one of the scripts. She says, "Just let me talk about my feelings on Disneyland." So we filmed it and recorded everything. Went back to the edit when they came back here, and it was like she telling them the story about her experience at Disneyland like no one else did. It was fantastic. It's fantastic. And I'll give you another story
Yeah.
too. We used to have a lot of grad nights at Disneyland. Are you familiar with grad
Yes,
nights?
I attended one. Yes.
Well, right. Well, Kool and the Gang appeared at grad nights, and one year, and we had the theme for grad night for that particular year was celebration. And so you've heard Kool and the Gang song "Celebration."
Oh yes.
It's great. Yeah. Well, that was written in the backstage during the celebration of grad nights for Disneyland, and that's where that song was written.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
That's cool.
and it was just a great thing. Now we also had Linda Ronstadt's band, and Linda Ronstadt appear at Disneyland, and a lot of people don't realize, but it was in August of 1968, I think, or 69. And that band played at Disneyland all summer, not all summer long, but for a week at a time. And then they were leaving the next day after they appeared at Disneyland to go to London. And that's when they became the Eagles.
Yes.
So it was Linda Ronstadt's band that finally became the Eagles band. And that's when the Eagles were formed.
Wow. Anything else you'd like to mention? I mean, I love your stories, and it sounds like you had a lot of... you did a lot while you were there.
Well, I tell you what, Cod Walker, just before he died, he was the president. I sent him a note, thanking him for allowing me to grow my experiences I had with Quaker Oats, and then implement a lot of those experiences at Disneyland and grow. And I was promoted throughout those years, and I spent 9.5 years there. And then it just meant so much to me to be part of it. And I left Disney and went to work for the Seattle Mariners Major League Baseball team. And after I spent 4 years up at the Seattle Mariners Major League Baseball team, I came back and started my own little entertainment consulting firm. And Disney brought me back as a consulting. So I had another 20 years consulting for them and had the experience of working with the young folks, and I was able to translate my experiences back then to them, and they appreciated it, and I got 20 years as a consultant out of it, so it was really fun.
When
best times of my life were working for Disneyland.
When did you leave Disneyland before you said you had went to work with the Seattle Mariners? Did you do that after you left Disneyland?
Yes, I was with Disneyland for 9 years.
Okay.
And then I went, and then Jack Rather, I don't know if you remember Jack Rather, but he owned the Disneyland Hotel. Well, Jack Rather bought the Queen Mary, the rights to the Queen Mary. So I left Disney, and I went over and I helped them open up the Queen Mary and get that started, produced a big fireworks show with the Beach Boys, and kicked off the new Queen Mary then. And then I went to work that summer for George Odris, who bought the Seattle Mariners baseball team. And I went up and I was vice president of sales and marketing and ran the business side of it with television, the Kingdom, and all of the sales and the publicity and on-air play-by-play. I had the announcers working for me, and that was great experience. And having that experience and then coming back and starting my own business, I was able to work. The name of my organization was Long on Promotion. So I used the experiences I had at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Quaker Oats Company, and Seattle Mariners Major League Baseball that helped me cultivate my organization and have a lot of great clients with me. So it was great.
Yeah, it sounds like you had just a great career doing that. It's really good.
I just retired this August.
Oh.
After working 57 years. I'm going to be 80 years old on December 6th, and I'm very blessed. I feel like I'm 50, and I'm just very blessed with a lot of enthusiasm. A lot of it had to do is that I never had a bad day at Disneyland, It was fantastic, and I never had a bad day with the Seattle Mariners or the Quaker Rose Company. I loved doing what I was doing, especially in the area of promotions.
That's great. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I had a question for you because you worked at Disneyland and you had a chance to be around there. But do you have any favorite attractions that you enjoyed going on when you were there?
Yes, I do, and that was Space Mountain.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time when I was there, I had two children. My daughter, who is now 55, and my son would have been 57, but he was hit by a car when he was on his motorcycle, and he passed away in 1986.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear
attraction, that. Thank you. Yeah, and but I did have. They were the first in the first car when we were testing the ride, and a lot of the other major directors there had their kids ride the rides just to test it, and I was able to get on the attraction Space Mountain and rode the ride about 25 times that day with him. And so that was a great experience, just fantastic.
Wow, what an awesome memory. That is.
Yeah, it was great.
And it must have been a lot of fun
great.
for them too,
Oh my gosh, they had fun, absolutely. And we have like this every Christmas time, we like about 2 weeks before Christmas, we have a luncheon with some of the former directors and vice presidents, and we get together and we have reminisce all the great days. So we're having another one this year. I don't know how many people will come because of the virus, but it's a lot of fun and reminiscing. And there's not too many people who have had the opportunity to work and Disneyland was the only theme park at one time. And there was only one Disneyland and one Walt Disney World. Of course, there's other Disney parks around the world now, but we had the experience of the grassroots back when we started and helped put the programs that they have now. We helped design and develop.
That's right. Well, Bill, thank you very much for coming on, and we'll definitely keep in touch. And I really appreciate your stories and your time.
Great, thank you.
Okay, well that concludes episode 298.
Man, it's hard for people to conceive of it nowadays, but Disney didn't. The Disney parks didn't really pay for radio and TV advertising, or now
need
it's
to, right?
It's all the time. Well, not with these marketing tactics.
Yeah.
They would invite celebrities. They would do grad night. They would pass out tickets to radio stations, and all kinds of things would get it free publicity. I mean, quote unquote free publicity. There's some costs that go into it. But, that was part of what the ambassador program was. They'd send the ambassadors with the characters to radio stations, and the characters, like Mickey Mouse, wouldn't talk. He was being the silent type, and so the ambassador would talk. And we talked about some of that with Robin, but that was how they would get publicity and marketing. And of course you also had The Wonderful World of Disney that would be on Sunday nights on television. And back in those days you didn't have like a million different channels,
Right.
So that was like a big plug for the theme parks every week, right there on television.
Yeah.
He had great stories. Great stories.
Thank you so much, Bill, for coming on. We had a really fun time talking with you, and we appreciate it. We are not done with this year, though, Ken. We have one more show to go. And
of the main shows, of the big shows, right?
Yeah. There should be, I think, 2 more of the mini episodes, but the main show, we have just one more left after this. And I'm really looking forward to that. We're going to take a little break in December. There will be one mini episode and one of our main episode, and then we'll take a little break during the holidays, refresh, and recharge, and come back for the 300th episode in January. So that will be great.
Wow, 300.
Can you believe it?
Well, you don't want people to miss that. So be sure to, if you subscribe, if you don't subscribe to the show. It's free to subscribe. Just go ahead and do it. Tell your friends, your family, your enemies, where they can find the show. Let them know about it.
That's right, and the show is everywhere. Everywhere podcasts can be found, even on YouTube. It's just the audio. But if that's a way that you want to listen, maybe at your desk or something, that's another way. A lot of people are doing that, so it's another way to listen to it. So join our subscribe and listen on YouTube. All right. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.